Now that we've upgraded our doc type, let's see what else we can fix in this template. We'll go from top to bottom. First, we come to the HTML tag, and you can see we are specifying the XMLNS attribute, but this is not necessary. We're not working with XHTML here. We can remove that entirely. Now, if you want, you can specify the language to make sure. In this case, it's going to be English, and that's sometimes a good practice, so you can keep that in your template. Next, we come to our head section. We have our title, that all looks good. But then we come to this meta, and this is another thing. Probably, like me, you didn't memorize this. None of us did, we simply pasted it in. But a lot of it is redundant. So it's implied that we are serving our content as text/HTML, so we can get rid of that entirely. Next, when we are specifying our content type, what we have right here and the attribute name, it's sort of redundant again, and the browser doesn't need all of this. So we can remove HTTP equiv entirely. That leaves us with meta content equals charset equals UTF-8. But once again, this is a little redundant. Why do we have content equals charset equals? Why don't we get rid of that entirely? And now we come to charset equals UTF-8. But we can do a little bit more if you want. While XHTML recommended that we self-close tags, it's really not necessary. And we're at a point now when you'll see more often than not, it's recommended that for self-closing tags, don't bother. Save a couple characters and keep it like that because it's not going to change anything at all. And secondly, this one comes down to preference, and it's whether or not to use quotes around your attributes. It's not necessary except in a few situations where there may be a space or some other symbol. So in this case, if you want, you can get rid of the quotations entirely. Metacharset equals UTF-8. And this is going to work just fine. You could do the same thing, style type, and you could do it down here as well. Now, the only thing is, though, while this will save you characters, and it does feel good just to get rid of those quotes, it's not necessary. However, it is helpful in the editors that will want to see that to provide proper syntax highlighting. So what you can see right here is that's not as appealing as when I wrap it within quotations, and now I can see exactly what my attribute value is. And that's why currently I still prefer to do it, even though it's not required and it's trendy right now to leave them off. I like to see it on there just so I have the benefit of syntax highlighting. Now, moving on, we come to style type equals text/CSS. In these situations when we're using the style tag, ask yourself, have you ever used this tag when the type was something different? So it's implied that the type will be CSS. So we can get rid of that entirely. It's going to work in all browsers. Let's scroll down just a little bit more, and we have the exact same thing with our scripts. Unless you need a specific type, maybe you're working with a template like jQuery templates, you can remove it. So we'll get rid of all of that, and now it's removed. And what we have here now is a much cleaner HTML5 template. We have our doc type, we have the HTML. Notice we no longer have these long strings that have to be typed to move into standards mode. This makes it a lot easier to create a standards compliant website. Not only are we typing less characters, but it's much easier on the eyes. So in the next lesson, we're going to take this to the extreme, and I will show you the shortest possible HTML page you could create.